Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of the Mark Moses Show podcast. As we're always broadcasting from the Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Take back control of your life. Call them today. Yes, it's Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorneys. And here during Super Bowl week, we got to talk about this great new documentary that's going to debut there with ESPN, a new 30 for 30 on the Philly special. We're joined here by the director. She does a great job. And by the way, Emmy award-winning director. It's very key. Shannon Furman. Shannon, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing fine. Was that a good enough intro or was I missing something there? Please let me know.
No, that was great. That was great.
All right, let's start with the obvious. Everyone knows the Philly special, but tell us about this documentary and how excited you are that it's going to be coming out.
Yeah, I'm super excited. It feels kind of like a long time coming. I mean, we started planning this probably last May. So yeah, it's been a lot of research and just putting it all together. And it feels like the perfect time for this. I mean, I guess it would have been great if the Eagles were in the game this weekend. But, you know, it's 8 years removed from when the play happened. The Eagles are coming off of their second Super Bowl. They still had a good run this year, 5 straight years in the playoffs. So it feels like the right time to celebrate this iconic play.
Okay, so your background, are you from Philadelphia? Are you an Eagles fan? Or what is your personal connection to trying to tell this story?
Yeah, I grew up in South Jersey, so lifelong Eagles fan. I've worked for NFL Films now for 23 years, so you do end up becoming a fan of people. I still have always been an Eagles fan at heart, but this was fun this year for me. I mean, in my 23 seasons, I hadn't done a lot with the Eagles, and then this year I had the opportunity I produced Saquon's documentary last summer for Amazon. And then I was the director for in-season Hard Knocks for the Eagles this season. So I spent 7 weeks at the end of the year with the Eagles. And then I did this film. So it was like all Eagles this year for me. So as a kid from the Philadelphia area, doing my whole life rooting for the Philadelphia sports teams, this is a dream project for me.
Okay, so behind the scenes, how long did this whole process, was it a year, months? How did you put this all together to get it ready for this debut?
We had about 6 months for this one. So we kind of started talking about it and settled on this idea. I would say it was like early June. And I had a co-director, Angela Zender. She was huge in doing this project. So we read their book. We read Doug's book. We read Nick's book, Sal Palantonio's book. We read a bunch of different books leading into this. And then we're lucky that NFL Films is located in the suburbs of Philadelphia. So we have easy access to the city. So we did a lot of scouting just to kind of plan out how this was all going to go. Once we found out we could get the main 5 guys that we decided to be our characters, basically it was the 4 guys who touched the ball in the play and then their head coach. When we decided on a date and then we could get them into town, it was like, how are we going to execute this and put this all together so it runs super smoothly? So we spent a lot of July and August kind of planning that all out. The big shooting took place in September. So we had a 3-day period where we brought the guys to Philadelphia. They each did individual interviews, but then they spent an entire day together also. And then just even around all of that, it was important for us to make the city of Philadelphia a character and the fan base. So we were shooting, you'll see these interviews with fans. There's in some ways, local celebrity type people spread throughout the film. And we started with that. I think our first one we shot in August. And we were still shooting those in December. So just to kind of make sure we really represented the city as well as possible, it was that was spread out throughout the whole entire time.
Okay, Shannon, this is a tough question for you, especially that you grew up rooting for this team. Is there kind of a weird legacy now where, okay, they won the Super Bowl, but then it's like the coach is not there anymore. A lot of those players aren't there anymore. The organization moved on. And then this new generation, they've gone to 2 Super Bowls since then. Is that kind of a weird legacy for this football team?
I think that's the way sports are now, honestly. I think we see that a lot. It's kind of what have you done for me lately type business. And you can see how quickly they move on from people, which I'm not saying that's necessarily right or wrong to do that. Doug Peterson is a guy I think that will always be loved in Philadelphia. Just not even going back to like kind of the way he came into all of this. He was a backup quarterback for the Eagles a lot like years ago.
Yes.
And there was a lot of critics when he was hired in Philadelphia to be the head coach. And then he ends up winning a Super Bowl for us. So Doug can come back to Philadelphia anytime he wants to. He has a statue of himself outside, even though they did move on from him. And I think that's kind of the cool thing, though, is that the 2 Super Bowl champions that the Eagles have had in the 7 years, in between victories, couldn't be more different. Like, this team was like a team of underdogs that went on a very improbable run with the injuries, whereas like the team that beat the Chiefs last year, it's the greatest team the Eagles have probably ever assembled. So it just is such a dominating team where they just ran over the Chiefs. So both stories are so different. I mean, Howie Roseman is the one constant there. He was kind of him and Jeffrey Lurie. So they have a good backbone in place to kind of keep the team winning and relevant. So I think it's a good thing. And I just think it's the direction sports have gone.
I want you to know this. I remember watching that game. I was at a restaurant with people in Orlando, and everyone hated the Patriots so much at this point. Everyone became an Eagles fan. And especially when the play happened, people were in shock. And you remember the announcers, I think it's Al Michaels is on the call, and Chris Collinsworth, and they're like, no, take the points. And I know Eagles play-by-play radio is like, take the field goal. What was tell us, where were you at when the play actually happened?
My assignment at that Super Bowl was I was running around that stadium in Minnesota, and I didn't see it happen live because I was doing like a feature that was behind the scenes type feature of the game. So I didn't even get to see that happen live until I watched the game on replay, when I got home from the game. Now I did at the end of the game that day, I was like, we're going to stop and watch the last 2 minutes. I need to see what's going to happen here. So the woman I was directing, who was my reporter, I was like, I just need you, I need to be able to watch this. So I need you to just react. And that's what we're going to do to end the piece right now. So I did get to take in the last 2 minutes and enjoy all of that. But when the actual play was ran in my life, I was in the bowels of the stadium in Minnesota somewhere, not even knowing it was going on. So that's kind of crazy. But we talked about it, everyone's going for it on 4th down now. And it kind of started with that team. Yeah. It was that Eagles team. Doug was a risky play caller, and they did well with it. They were confident in their ability to do it. And it kind of started a trend. So it's kind of cool to see. It's
funny, the idea of you're growing up an Eagles fan. You're like, all right, one day we're going to be in Minnesota for the Super Bowl. What are you talking about? Yeah, and our backup quarterback, he's the one that's going to call the play, suggest it to the coach. The coach is going to go. It's so crazy that, and I'll just end with this with you. Did you ever think the center, Kelsey, would become an international superstar? And after winning that, there's no way you would have thought that in the moment, right, Shannon?
I mean, everything about this whole story is super improbable. That's why it makes it so great.
Okay, how can we check it out exactly?
It'll air Friday night, 9 p.m. on ESPN and the ESPN app. So yeah, tune in.
Can you sit there? I know you worked on it for a year. Can you sit there at the premiere and actually sit and watch it? Can you do that and enjoy yourself?
I love it. It's probably my favorite thing to watch that I've worked on in my career.
Awesome. That is awesome. Congratulations on it. We're all going to be watching it, and I hope you enjoy the Super Bowl on Sunday and have a great 2026. All right, Shannon?
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Mark.